So it's so funny because I say this and people immediately are like brainwashing, like, oh my gosh, is she starting a cult? Right? Like we have these really
I didn't think that, by the way.
But overwhelmingly, we have a lot of like really negative connotations with the idea of brainwashing.
That's true. That's true.
But if we look at the fact that every single one of us on this planet right now is brainwashed, whether we were brainwashed by our parents, we love them so much, they were doing the best they could with what they had at the time, whether we were brainwashed by our community or our culture or our society or whatever, all of us have brainwashing that tells us that you can't possibly do that. Who do you think you are to be so ambitious? That's not possible. You can't do that thing in the world. This is the capacity of what's available to you, right? Like all of us have been brainwashed to our detriment.
Yeah.
And so I started wondering, like, why are we not brainwashing ourselves for success? All of us, almost most of us, I will say, immediately go to like worst case scenarios. It's like, well, how do we brainwash ourselves to go to best case scenarios?
Hello, my extraordinary women friends. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, showing up, checking all the boxes, but still hitting an invisible wall? In today's episode of Extraordinary Women Radio, I am joined by Bri Seeley, a powerhouse subconscious strategist who works with high-achieving women to uncover the deepest beliefs that quietly shape their success. We explore what's really happening beneath the surface when ambition alone isn't getting you where you want to go, and how shifting your subconscious identity can open up the door to a whole new kind of possibility. Bri shares her own journey, real client stories, and simple yet powerful tools to help you rewire the beliefs that no longer serve you, so you can build success that feels aligned, spacious, and deeply fulfilling. And if you're craving more of these kinds of soulful, powerful conversations, I invite you to join me at this year's Extraordinary Women Ignite conference. This is our 11th year of gathering high vibe women entrepreneurs and leaders in a room filled with wisdom, fire, and purpose. It's where voices rise, visions expand, and next chapters begin. If you're hearing the calling to lead with more impact, more visibility, and more joy, your seat is waiting. Early bird tickets are now available at CamiGellner.com/ignite. Now let's dive into this heart-opening conversation with Bri Seeley.
Well, welcome to Extraordinary Women Radio, Bri. I am so excited to have you here today.
Same. I loved our chat a few months ago and just excited to dive into some conversations.
Yeah, and you're doing some really interesting work right now, and I'm really looking forward to hearing, more about what's unfolding for you. And I also want to know a bit of the story that got you to this point. So what is it that really got you to this point? Was there like a point that really helped you know that you're going to be working with the subconscious work? And tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I've been an entrepreneur for 18 years, and my first business went well. I had some great successes. I had my own fashion label. I was selling to Zappos.com. I've dressed celebrities like Toni Braxton. My stuff has been on The Bachelor, like all these things.
Cool.
And after 8 years, I started realizing that I was having daily panic attacks. And if I wasn't working in my business, I was in the fetal position and just kind of all these things. And then I got introduced to money mindset, and I was like, that's interesting. And very quickly, the universe pulled the rug out from underneath of me and was like, time to try something new. And so I took my 8 years of entrepreneurial experience and started coaching entrepreneurs and helping them develop business strategies, and have helped many, many women over the last 10 years build 7-figure businesses, multiple 6-figure businesses. Like, I've loved it. And in the midst of all of that, I received hypnosis in 2017.
Oh,
and I was shocked at what came through, like the seemingly mundane memory that I was literally 30 years later playing out every single day in my life. And it was actually holding me back from the business success that I wanted.
Wow.
And so after I experienced that hypnosis, I got certified and was like, if I am only touching 5% of my clients' brains and literally fighting against 95% of their brains, I can't actually be successful with people.
Yeah.
And so I started incorporating it into my business coaching and realizing that so much success comes from not just the strategy, but also that subconscious piece. Yeah. Because I can give you a good strategy left, right, and center all day, every day. But if your subconscious is saying it's not safe to take this step, it's not going to work for me, you know, I'm not able to be successful, I can't be successful, whatever that is, no amount of strategy can get you there. And so I've been doing it little by little in my business, but kind of behind the scenes for the last 8 years.
So it wasn't the leading point.
No. In fact, it's not even really been on my website. Like, I talk to people about it in sales calls, but the universe has been calling me again and kind of like pulling on that rug underneath of me again.
And saying, hello, we're listening. Are you listening to me?
I know. So I'm hitting a reinvention point again. And now, from what I can see and what I can feel and what I'm understanding from the messages I'm getting, is that subconscious piece is kind of going to take the forefront in my work moving forward.
I love it so much. I really love it. And it's, you know, when we get these moments of the shifts happening in our businesses, and, you know, you've been being an entrepreneur for 18 years. It's like, you know, we're going to go through multiple phases of where we are, what we're doing, and we can come up to a place where we ignore all the signs that are there, all the signposts that are showing up saying, you know, there's something to shift. And it doesn't serve us because we just kind of go into a this continuum, right? And when you start to listen, what happens for you?
I mean, initially, so what happened this time? Last time I was like, cool, use me. I'm going to shut down my business. Let's go.
Yeah.
This time there was definitely a little bit of like, oh, again. Like,
do I really want to start again?
Seriously, like there has been a little bit of resistance because the way that I've done business in the past has been very rooted in hard work. And I just turned 42 and I'm like, I'm tired.
Yeah. Rooted in what work?
Hard work.
Oh, hard work. Oh, so you put a lot of effort to get to this place that you're at.
So much effort. Overworking and underliving. And I'm at the point in my life now where I just got married 8 months ago. I just turned 42. Like, I'm having some health things pop up and I'm like, the hard work thing, over it. Not interested. Unwilling to go there. So if that's what this is going to look like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And I think I shared with you, I was meditating about a month or so ago. And what came through was, your 7-figure business is not coming through effort and time. It's coming through energy, alignment, and your mind. And so part of this shift for me has not just been shifting how my business looks on the outside, but also shifting the relationship that I have with my business behind closed doors.
Yeah, I love this so much.
Yeah.
So love this, because I think this is something for all of us. And, you know, my work, I work with soul plus strategy, right? And so it's like, it's that same sort of thing. It's like, I can do strategy all day long, but the magic happens when we do this inner work. And this is what, I think why you and I, when we first met, we're like, okay, we're jamming on this because this aligns so much. And I think this inner work is the work that helps us break through the stories that are there. It helps us really, maneuver through the emotions. It helps us maneuver through the times that we're living in right now.
Yeah. And here's the thing too, that I find so interesting. There's been a lot of talk in the last several years about like the narratives that we hold on to and the stories we tell in our mind. And, it's come to more awareness, which is great.
Right.
But the thing that I think people don't realize is the impact, like the true actual impact of those stories and narratives on what they're able to do and create in the world. Yeah. Because those stories and narratives become your playbook. And if your playbook says, I worked with a woman a few years ago, and her mom told her that if you are successful, therefore you are selfish. And I gave her all of the best strategies. I didn't know that her mom had told her this until like our second to last call together. And what I realized was that she was not able to act on any of the strategies I gave her for 80 days because every time she tried to, this playbook would pop up, this narrative would pop up that says, but if I'm successful, I'm selfish and my mom will disown me.
Yeah.
And it's
and that's a hard one.
And it seems like, Bri, that can't possibly be true. Like those narratives can't, like I can surpass those narratives. But if that's literally what's programmed into your operating system, you know, you can't open an app on your phone that's not installed. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
So if you have like a faulty app installed on your phone and you try, like it's, that virus is always going to pop up. And unfortunately, that's also how our subconscious works. So the power of reframing these narratives and really truly like planting a new operating system, a new playbook into your mind so that you can ascend to the levels that you want to go to, for me and my clients has been the thing that's really unlocked everything.
Yeah, I love it so much. And I've heard you talk about brainwashing yourself for success. So this is a new line that you're going down to. So tell us a little bit more what that means and just what's underneath of that.
So it's so funny because I say this and people immediately are like, brainwashing, like, oh my gosh, is she starting a cult? Right? Like we have these really
I didn't think that, by the way.
But overwhelmingly, we have a lot of like really negative connotations with the idea of brainwashing.
That's true. That's true.
But if we look at the fact that every single one of us on this planet right now is brainwashed, whether we were brainwashed by our parents, we loved them so much, they were doing the best they could with what they had at the time, whether we were brainwashed by our community or our culture or our society or whatever, all of us have brainwashing that tells us that you can't possibly do that. Who do you think you are to be so ambitious? That's not possible. You can't do that thing in the world. This is the capacity of what's available to you, right? Like all of us have been brainwashed to our detriment. Yeah. And so I started wondering, like, why are we not brainwashing ourselves for success? Yeah. All of us, almost most of us, I will say, immediately go to like worst case scenarios. It's like, well, how do we brainwash ourselves to go to best case scenarios? Immediately, right? We start talking about like, oh, I can't do that because like I don't have the credentials, or I don't have the letters behind my name, or I don't have the experience, or I'm a new entrepreneur. So even though I've been in marketing for 30 years, you know, I'm a new entrepreneur, so I have to discount my services. Well, why are these assumptions that are holding us back the primary motivating assumptions when we could brainwash ourselves with different assumptions? And so I just started playing with that, and I'm like, why not? I mean, also too, I'm kind of a contrarian, so the idea of like being a professional brainwasher feels like really cool to me. But, you know, on a bigger scale too, it's like, what if we could live in a world where we are brainwashed for our benefit and for our success
versus the detriment? And so shifting that up. So what are some of the things that you do to really help make those shifts?
So the process is, I always liken it to a garden, right? So say you have a garden in your backyard and it's full of weeds. What's the first step?
Got to pull those weeds.
You got to pull all the weeds up, right? We get into your subconscious and we start looking at what are the weeds that are currently in your subconscious. So we pull out all those weeds and we look at them and say, okay, this is a weed, right? Yeah. The next thing we got to do if we want to fill that garden with flowers is that we have to kind of like till the soil, right? So we need to like turn the soil over. We need to shift our perspectives. We need to recontextualize these memories that we've been holding on to and really look at what is the truth behind some of these narratives that we've been playing out. Because most of our narratives that we're living by are from the age of, before the age of 8.
Oh, interesting.
In fact, I just saw an interview with Miley Cyrus the other day that said that in hypnosis, she actually went back to the her that was in her grandmother's womb.
Oh, wow.
which is fascinating. She has a memory stored within her that's from when she was in her grandmother's womb.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up, because when you were talking about, our, the stories we have from our parents and our communities, that actually crossed my mind is we've got these ancestral stories that live through us as well. So I'm that's really interesting that you're pulling that into it. I think that makes a lot of sense.
So we have to till the soil. We have to recontextualize. We have to shift the perspectives. We have to see them from, so I'm 42, right? I want to see my experiences from a 42-year-old perspective, not from a 5-year-old perspective. 5-year-old me could not even conceptualize the life that I'm living today. Right. But she's still running the show. So we want to shift that up until the soil. Then if we want to have actual plants or flowers or things growing in that garden that we want, we have to plant them. Yeah. We have to put them in there.
The new thoughts, the new ideas, the new
paradigms.
Things. Exactly.
The thing about the subconscious, though, that's a little different than a garden is, well, it's semi-different than a garden. If you plant bulbs, you only have to plant them once. They come up every year, right? You plant things like marigolds, you got to replant them every year.
Right.
The brain learns through repetition. So when you go to learn a new language, you don't just go to one class and become completely fluent in that language.
Over and over.
You have to do it over and over and over again. So the hypnosis that I do, in fact, I have an app where it's 30 days of repetition, and it's just 10 to 12 minutes a day, where you're reinforcing the new thoughts, replanting those flowers that you want, so that your brain can learn that new language that you're putting into it.
That's cool. I love that you've got an app. That's awesome.
I'm so excited. It's brand new. It is brand new. It's like less than a month old. It's called the Big Goal Energy app. And it is free. There are free resources on it. There's also paid resources on it. If anyone wants access, you're welcome to come.
Oh, cool. I'm definitely going to go grab it. I think that's awesome. That's totally awesome. So you say that mindset work alone isn't enough. So what's different about the subconscious work that you're really working with versus mindset work?
So science has shown us that our conscious mind is 5% of the equation.
Wow.
So I mentioned this a little earlier, that I realized that if I was only touching 5% of my clients' brains, that I actually couldn't help them.
Yeah.
So mindset work, if we're consciously recalling memories, or if we're consciously trying to, plant affirmations, or if we're only doing that to 5% of our brain. Now, I don't know about you. If I'm going to bet on something, personally, I would much rather a 95% chance of success
than 5%.
Rather than a 5% chance of success. I don't know. Yeah. The maths to me, maybe it doesn't math to everyone else, but when we access the subconscious, it truly gives us, when I do subconscious work with my clients and we get done and I bring them out and we're decompressing and talking, every single one of them has said, that memory that came up was so random. Like, I don't even have any conscious recollection of that. Or maybe I remember little pieces of it, but I don't, they're the most mundane memories that we file and store away in our subconscious, but they're not really readily available to our conscious mind. So again, mindset's great. And I like to couple conscious work with subconscious work. But conscious work alone, unfortunately, is not the be-all, end-all that a lot of the online marketing gurus would like to tell you that it is.
No, and I get that, because I hear a lot of people, it's like, where they're just working with manifestation and they're working with some things, and it's like, to me, that's never felt like that was the full equation. And so I like that you're really taking this into a deeper level within our beings and pulling more out and giving yourself more to work with.
Yeah. And they're super fun. The audios that I make are so energizing, and my clients love their daily audios and listening to their daily audios. And I think it's kind of cool. How much effort does it take to remember to tap into your affirmation multiple times a day, every day? I'm a big Abraham Hicks person, and they always talk about vibrating with your intention. I think it's 18 seconds or something, multiple times a day. And I'm like, who remembers 10 times a day to do that?
Right.
I don't. I have way too many things going on.
Yeah.
So what if I can just listen to a 10 to 12 minute audio track and let my brain do the work for me without me having to consciously effort to make that change?
Cool. Very, very cool. I like it. So what were some of the hidden subconscious beliefs you personally had to reprogram, even just recently?
Yeah, one of the ones, so I'll give you one from like an earlier days of my entrepreneurial journey, and then I'll give you a more recent one. Was when I was raised by an entrepreneur as well, and my mom owned a candy store when I was in high school, which was a super fun business to grow up in. But also, we literally sold like penny candies and our ice cream cones. We just got ice cream the other week, and it was like $8 per ice cream cone. And I was like, man, I'm getting old, because I remember the days when it was $1.25.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
We sold pretty low ticket stuff. And so my mom told me when I was in high school, as an entrepreneur, you will never take home a paycheck a day in your life.
And she was and there was the story that she had, right?
And that was her reality. And, being an online entrepreneur obviously is a completely different world, completely different realm. I'm selling very different products and services. And so I really had to deconstruct that. And it's still, even after deconstructing it, took me many, many years to put myself on payroll. And now I am a paid employee of a corporation. Now I happen to also be the one who owns the corporation, right? But I had to break down, is that actually true for me?
Right.
Okay, it was true for her, but what is my reality? And then what am I affirming in my life moving forward? So it was really for about the first 13 years of my business that I didn't pay myself. So that's one of them. The one that I'm currently working through is this working harder versus working smarter one. The building a business based off of my energy and my alignment and my mind, rather than working off of my time and my effort and my output.
Yeah, so that was one I definitely had to shift. It was one that I grew up with. You work hard to get to where you're going, and that was just the story we had in our household, and so I had to really I had to work with that one a lot.
Well, and it's true. I mean, we come from an era where they did have to do that, right? The Industrial Revolution, you wanted to make more money, you had to put in more hours, period.
Right.
And it was the only option on the table.
Right.
We're unfortunately in an information era now.
Yeah.
And we're still operating off of, again, that old playbook.
Those old paradigms. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm fully committed. I've been doing, I brainwash myself. I am a full-fledged member of the brainwashing movement, and I brainwash myself every day. And so that's one of the ones that I've really been working through, is elevating into this higher level consciousness and energetics more than effort, and still a practice every day. But actually, as we record this, I have decided that for the entire month of June, I'm going to do an experiment. And I am going to overlive and underwork. And I'm documenting the whole thing. So we're on day 3, because we're recording this on June 3rd. So I don't have a lot of data yet, but I'm working through it. I'm doing daily videos, and I'll be doing weekly podcast episodes about it, just to kind of help with that shift. Because I think that way too many of us, I mean, the rates of burnout, right, are just evidence of how many of us are still stuck and trapped in that old cycle.
Yeah, I love it. And I love the curiosity that you're approaching that with, because I think that's one of our best gifts as entrepreneurs. If we can get curious about, what if I do this differently and I show up energetically in a different way, that opens up to, I wonder what will happen here. And so I love that you're actually living into that right now.
Thank you. It's a practice.
Yes.
But I'm here.
I like it. I like it. What are you going to do with that open space you create for yourself?
Well, actually, so I have been called this year as well to really disrupt my life and my everyday. And I was feeling a lot of Groundhog Day at the beginning of the year. And so I spent 2 weeks in April house sitting in Arkansas for 16 chickens. And I actually leave this Sunday to go to Prescott, Arizona for 3 weeks to babysit a cat. And then in August, I am going to go to Mount Shasta for about 10 days. And then I'm going to go to Kansas City and babysit for 2 dogs for 10 days. And
So you're really
I'm
changing up your environment. I like that.
Yeah, there's something about like, so if we know that our neural pathways are formed through repetition, right? And our brain gets very lazy and it doesn't want to have to think about all the things that we do every day. And then we wake up each day basically just repeating yesterday.
Yeah.
That I'm like, okay, if I know that that's what my brain is going to default to, what do I need to do to shift that, right?
Yeah.
Again, like tilling the soil. And so I'm like, I want to go to a kitchen and have to make lunch and have it take me an hour because I don't know where anything is, right? Like I'm having to flex new neural pathways. I'm having to get out of my own way. I'm having to see the world differently and think about life differently. And so I had a lot of ahas in Arkansas. And then TBD for Arizona, but I'm also looking at doing some like shamanic, possibly psychedelic journeys while I'm there as well, to also just kind of hopefully unlock some more of those things as well.
That's fascinating. I love it. I love it. So if somebody's listening today, what's one step they might take that really helps them move beyond some old conditioning? I mean, you've given us some great examples already, but is there something else that you might add to that?
I mean, the first step is always awareness, right? So
getting clear what the stories are that are living behind that the consciousness and the subconsciousness.
Yeah. I mean, things that you tell yourself on a daily basis, thoughts that you just think on a daily basis without even trying. If you think to expand into something big, and most of the time when we do that, our immediate reaction is contraction. Like pay attention to that contraction and get, again, really curious about it. Like, interesting. I know from a soul level that pursuing this big goal or pursuing this new thing or whatever is aligned for me. So what is this contraction that is corresponding with this? Because on a soul level, I know it's aligned. So is there a subconscious thing at play that's like really kind of like pulling me backwards a little bit? And then once you're aware, obviously, then you can start doing something about it. Because once you see something, you can't unsee it.
Yeah. I think that's fascinating. I really do. So talk to us a little bit about hypnotherapy. I've done hypnotherapy just once in my life, and it's been a lot of years. So just give us a little bit more insights into hypnotherapy.
So obviously the immediate thing is thinking about people like clucking like a chicken on a stage or like doing stupid whatever. I will tell you, when I was in college, I volunteered to be one of the like people on stage, right? And like I could not be hypnotized. So people also have a lot of stories.
Some resistance to it inside, right? That was really keeping you from going.
Yep. And so some people have stories around like, oh, well, I've tried before, I can't be hypnotized. Getting into hypnosis is actually fairly easy, and it happens through an eye movement. Also, I think there has to be a level of trust between you and the person you're working with for them to lead you and guide you in the right way. I do kind of hypnotherapy on 2 different levels. One, if we're working privately together, I custom write your script based on your words. So a lot of people are also afraid, like, are you just going to put random stuff into my head? Like, no, I'm putting what you want in your brain. The other ones is I have on-demand ones for a lot of just like really common, like fear of visibility, procrastination, perfectionism, fear of failure, fear to take risks, like all those things. And a lot of the scripts from that come from just my 18 years of being an entrepreneur, working with thousands of entrepreneurs around the world. So it's super easy to get into hypnosis. You probably want to trust the person you're working with.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And maybe not being on a stage in front of 1,000 people, right?
I was such an introvert too in college. I don't know what inspired me to raise my hand and get on that stage. I actually left the stage because I was like, this is not working. This is not. And then the other thing too is that people have a lot of misconceptions around like hypnosis feeling psychedelic or you being out of control or things like that. When I've done it to myself, honestly, it just feels like you're accessing a deeper meditation. I'm conscious through the whole thing. I can remember all of the memories that I'm accessing. If I'm working privately with people, you speak them out. And so I'm literally taking notes and you're conscious of all of it through the whole process. I love it. And like I said, it's been completely transformative for me.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was journaling about this morning was like, what if everyone had access to resources and tools like this? Like, what if this wasn't something that was fringe, or it wasn't something that was woo or out there or whatever? It's literally backed by science. And what if everyone could access this? And that's part of me starting the app, is like, what if we can just open up access to, obviously, like, working privately with me is an investment.
Yeah.
But if 100 people need a fear of failure hypnosis, or if 100 people need a visibility hypnosis or something like that, right? Like, just makes it a little more accessible in terms of pricing and access. So I'm really excited to be bringing hypnosis to more people, because it's such a powerful tool.
Tell us a little bit about the building of the app. I mean, just how the idea came to you and just how you brought that to life.
I have wanted an app for a few years, and I actually tried to use this company a few years ago, and their features just were not what I needed. And so I asked for my money back. And then this year it just started coming up again. And a huge part of the hypnosis experience, like I mentioned, is that 30-day continued reinforcement, right? Again, the way our brains work is we default to old programming. So waking up every day for 30 days and saying, I get to do this hypnosis, I get to do this hypnosis, I get to do this hypnosis, can still be a little prohibitive, even if you have it on your phone, right?
Yeah.
So what I wanted was a way for people to get a daily reminder on their device that says, hey, it's time to do the hypnosis. And so that's really why I did it, is to have a little bit more accountability. Because obviously, if I'm working privately with people, I'm texting them saying, hey, it's day 3. Where are you at? What are you noticing? What do you need? Blah, blah, blah. I can't necessarily do that for hundreds of people buying a hypnosis. So the app is accountability. It's accessibility. The app can either be on Android, iOS, or it's available to log into just on desktop as well. So yeah, I never really sought out to like build an app, and a friend of mine was like, do you know how hard it is to like make money off an app? And I'm like, that's kind of not, like, I'm not building an app to build an app. I'm building an app to be a tool to deliver the accountability that people need to truly make these transformations in their mind.
And what's the difference? I mean, because I'm a daily meditator. I mean, that's something I do every morning, and that's just my routine, and I've been doing it for a long time. What's the difference between what they get with a hypnosis versus like a daily meditation?
So the hypnosis, first off, there is like the actual hypnosis, and that's about 40 minutes long.
Okay.
And that's where we go back and we pull out the weeds and we till the soil.
So you're doing that upfront piece before you're getting into the rhythm of it.
Yep. And then the replanting part is actually part of that 40 minutes. So the first one is 40 minutes long. Cool. And then days 2 through 30 is just the short version over and over again. And you're still getting into hypnosis before listening to the short version. That's all part of the audio track. And then the other thing that I couple it with is we want to make sure, like I said, we're coupling the conscious with the subconscious. So I always love, like, okay, cool, you bought Flush with Wealth, which is my money mindset hypnosis. And so not only are we doing the hypnosis on a daily basis, but I want you to go out into your world today and notice how you're feeling differently about money. Or I want you to go out into the world tomorrow and track the abundance that's coming in for you. I want you to go out into the world the next day and have a conversation about wealth that previously would have triggered you or made you shrink or contract, right?
So there's activities that are following along that.
30 days of activities coupled with the subconscious track and audio as well.
Love it. One last question, because I think this is interesting. You've talked about building success that makes no logical sense but feels right? And I totally believe that, when we can follow that wisdom that's inside, and we hear this calling that, I'm supposed to make this different type of a step. Just talk to us a little bit about that, what that looks like in practice.
So 2024 was the best year of my business in 10 years of business.
Yeah.
Best year.
Yeah.
And my plans for 2025 were to just do more of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had fully planned that was going to be my year. I was just going to upscale what I built in 2024 and do more of it because it was a great year for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
2025 has been my worst year in business to date. Yeah. And here's what's interesting. I started the year doing exactly the same things that I did in 2024. Mm-hmm. And I firmly believe that the insight for this move, this reinvention that I'm making right now came to me at a Joe Dispenza meditation 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I had the glimpse. Yeah. I've seen it in my peripheral. And for the last 2 years, business has been great. So why would I make any changes?
Right, right.
And I firmly believe that my business isn't quote unquote failing right now.
It's shifting.
It's evolving.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that I'm being called by my higher self or my capital S self or the universe or my cosmic team or God or whatever you believe in to truly bring this resource on a more accessible level to people. Mm-hmm. And it's not what I consciously chose for this year.
Yeah.
But I know on a soul level, past me would have been having massive panic attacks about the dip in revenue and where I'm at in my business this year and all these things. And yet there is this deeply strong inner knowing in me right now that I am firmly on my path. Yeah. And that's the difference between...
And the knowing comes from where for you?
I wish I knew.
Because I think that's, as somebody else going through this, where do they find their trust?
So, and I'm so sorry for giving y'all this answer because it's the answer that none of us want. I don't want this answer either, but it's truly come through practice. Yeah. I started developing this relationship with my higher self probably back in 2010. Yeah. And so it's been 15 years. You want to develop a relationship with anything, it's gonna take you showing up. You want a new best friend, you want a new significant other, you want a business partner, you want a relationship with your higher self, you have to show up for it. Yeah. You have to not cancel on the dates that you make with yourself. You have to prioritize that in a way that you prioritize building other relationships in your life. And I'm not saying this to say that it's going to take you listening to this 15 years to do. But so much of my trust has come from me building that relationship with myself and consistently showing up for myself and proving to myself what I'm capable of.
Yeah. I love it so much. I really love it so much.
I know it's not the easy button answer.
No, it's not the easy button answer. No, it's good though. It's exactly, I like it so much. So where can people learn more about you, about your work, and also I think you've mentioned where people can get the app, but just tell us a little bit more from that.
Yep, I'm on all the socials at Bri Seeley. That's BRISEELEY. That's also my website. If you just Google Bri Seeley, even with my name spelled wrong, you'll still find me. I promise. I've done all the work to make sure that you can still find me. And then my app is called Big Goal Energy, which is also my podcast. And so if you go to either the iOS or the Android store and look up Big Goal Energy, it will pop up. If you want the desktop version, if you go to briseeley.com/community, the link is there to give you free access as well.
That's awesome. Oh, I know one other question I wanted to ask you. The app that you built it in, you said it was a company that you went back to. What was the name of the company? Because in case somebody else is thinking about an app.
Yep. So the company is called passion.io. Super reasonable. And it's a templated app. And so you get to white label it. It's when you open up Big Goal Energy, it says Big Goal Energy. And part of the reason I did it too was I was on Circle before and I was on Mighty Networks before. And how my app, access to my app would look on your device said Circle or Mighty Networks.
Yeah.
And in order to access the white labeled versions of those platforms, it's like $35,000, $40,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just not like, I'm a scrappy entrepreneur. I don't put money out like that.
Yeah.
And so passion.io is way more reasonable, a little bit of more limited functionality, but they are also, I will say, I had some issues getting my push notifications to work. And they went above and beyond to make sure that I was satisfied. And I just got a text message from a girlfriend this morning. I put out a new episode of the podcast this morning. Just got a screenshot text message from a woman who had the push notification on her phone that said, Big Goal Energy, you have a new update. So it was worth it. It's been worth the investment. I'm really excited to be part of their platform, and they're continually growing, adding more features, evolving. So yeah.
Cool. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So the final question I always close with what are 3 pearls of wisdom you'd like to leave with us today?
3 pearls of wisdom. First things first, if your soul is calling you towards something, whether it's starting something, whether it's a reinvention of something, whatever that is, I just would like to be a shining example that it's worth it and to do it.
Love it.
And will it be stressful? Probably. Are you gonna? I cried this morning. First thing this morning, I was in tears. Right? Like and it's worth it. So trust those soul callings. To give yourself permission to really truly start doing that subconscious work. It will revolutionize your life. Scout's honor. And then last but not least. Hold on, there was something we talked about that I wanted to circle back on, and now it's escaping my mind. Darn it. I'll end with this one. We are living in a new world, and our world is continuing to shift in that new direction. And I would just really encourage all of you to think about, how can I transform the patterns of overworking and underliving into an existence where I'm overliving and underworking? And if you want to see my experiment with it, I don't know how it's going to play out, but if you want to see my experiment with it, get the app, because I'm going to be putting all of my daily reflections up there.
That's so cool. So cool. Well, I'm definitely going to grab the app. I think it's exciting, and congratulations on just listening to that guidance that you've got and following it and trusting it. And the work you're doing is, you're being called to put that work out in the world. So bravo and kudos to you. Thanks for joining us today, Bri. It was awesome to have you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.